1580, and we're taking public media black.
Ricky Ross, T-Pain.
I got a fresh line up, yeah, a fresh outfit. About to have the parking lot on smash. Plus I got a Chevy with a 454 in the hood. Got 125 on the dash.
I'm the biggest boss that you seen thus far. I'm the biggest boss that you seen thus far. I'm the biggest boss that you seen thus far.
Cause it's just another day in the life of the damn boss.
I don't make love, baby, we make magic. Come home with a thug, let's get cracking. Always well, baby, cause it happens. She leave
Let
the
me
back
tell you
seat
what
just
has
to
always
freak in
impressed me about the song, besides the fact that the beat is just fire and Ross's voice on the track just flows and T-Pain is just the cherry on that Sunday. I love that in the chorus, Rick Ross uses thus. How many people utilize the word thus in their regular everyday language? You know, we're used to slang in hip hop and, you know, not proper enunciation and connection. I just love that he was so proper and formal.
Useful for that one. But shout out to T.I. You know, he's another individual when
Facts.
he speaks. You know, he's trying to use, you know, certain vernacular and loquacious.
Loquacious, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
What's the name of his podcast again?
Expeditiously.
Expeditiously. You know what I mean? So I like it. I like it.
Definitely kick those SAT words.
And you know what, though? That word, thus, Rick Ross, that's part of his brand. I mean, his music is luxury.
It really
it's
is.
luxury. It got you feeling rich every time. So why not use the word thus?
I agree with you, and I say that exactly. Rick Ross just breathes opulence on a track. Like, the tracks are lush. They just feel like you want to go yachting for the afternoon. And this is the music that is wafting out over the speakers as you take in the sun and look out as the waves go by. Your ship's steward brings you a glass of champagne or your beverage of choice with some fresh fruit. And you just enjoy and have a really,
there you go,
like, lit afternoon doing nothing.
Absolutely.
Just sleeping and catching the ocean waves.
Shout out to Rose.
Shout out to Rose. It's funny. I think, what was it? Cat Williams that had his first single as the special when he came out. What is the name of Rick Ross's first? How am I forgetting this? This was
his first album?
His first single. Yeah. The very
Hustling.
first. Hustling, exactly. I think it was Cat Williams that he had that, like, he kept coming out to it over and over again for one of his specials, and he talked about how that song just motivated you and made you want to do stuff. Rick Ross is a visual storyteller with his lyrics. Like, you really can picture just all of these things, so it's great. Shout out to Officer Ricky. We love him. And
For
all
real.
of his wing stops.
For real, though.
For real, though.
You gonna do him like that?
I mean, I love Rick Ross, though. Shout out to him.
He can't have a regular job. I mean, people diss him for having a regular job.
Listen, I'm saying it to be funny, but there is no shame in having a regular job, and everybody has aspirations. And according to, like, that Tubi movie last night, that woman was a probation officer and was jacking her ex-inmate up. So all types of things can happen. There's criminals in every element of society if that is what you are using as the determining, not you personally, Andy, I'm just saying in general, the determining factor as to whether or not someone is legit or criminal enough to match up with their lyrics. You know, we never question if an R&B singer is actually a good lover when they sing about that type of stuff or everything. They just let them live.
Yo, Jill?
Yeah.
That's a discussion right there. To be had, made, a video needs to be created. I'm just saying, is Trey Songz really? Well, that's for the ladies, really.
I mean, again, but you understand what I'm saying,
what
right? There's never a conversation, Trey says, for example, I bet the neighbors know my name. Do they?
Do they?
They might, but nobody's asking. No one's really having that kind of conversation about R&B singers and making them commit to it like they are with hip hop. Man, you're not really what you say. You're not really talented because you didn't shoot 27 people before the age of 13. I mean, I understand where hip hop started from, but we've evolved. The art form is 50 years old. We have to grow up with it, recognize that there are different genres, and you don't get mad that Damson Idris doesn't necessarily know how to shoot a gun the way that Franklin Saint does. You guys may give him heat about his accent from time to time, but do you know what I'm saying? I think that we have to accept rap and hip hop as an entertainment art form at this point too, and know that everybody doesn't have to come in under the keep it way too real box, because we see the results of that.
But considering how hip hop was birthed and how it started, I mean, you could say that it came from a place of authenticity, though, right?
It did, but it also came from a place of braggadocious, and
You right.
that whole aspect of it. I got a color TV on my wall where the Knicks play basketball. I can't remember the exact words to Rapper's Delight, and it was 14 minutes or something like that. But you get the point. Big Bang Hank, dude worked at a pizza joint, so we've been fraudulent from the very beginning.
Okay,
right? He took Casanova's lyrics, so there has always been an element of tall tales in the mix. There has always been, from the first platinum single, from the first #1 single in hip hop and rap, it was written by somebody else. It was somebody else's words. So, again, I understand authenticity. I understand why we want it to be real, and we respect those that really did what they say that they were doing and things of that nature. But we've been entertained by some fraudulent ones too.
Absolutely.
And we just gotta take that. We got to take it on the chin sometimes.
I've never been the individual to want to put that accountability on that person because, you got to be authentic. To me, music or whatever, it's always been an art form. So even if you didn't live that, but somebody told you a story and you decided to share that story because you just have the gift of gab, you have the gift to put words together and explain something, that's cool with me. Just because you didn't live that, I'm not gonna take points off of you. But at the same time, if you are an individual who did go through whatever it is that you went through and you're sharing that, you do get a little bit more brownie points. But I don't knock somebody who didn't experience that. But I could be like, my homie did something.
Exactly.
So is that not real?
It's very
because
real.
I didn't do it.
And also, I mean, let's be real too. Do we want everybody to be hardcore criminals and come on the mic?
That's what it seems
dangerous.
like. That's what it seemed like.
It's what we say, but look at how many deaths we have had of young rappers in hip hop. Look how many violent altercations we've had. It's a much more, and again, part of that could be attributed to we know a lot more now, but it's much more violent than it was 20, 30 years ago. And we've had something, I mean, I said this before, but I never thought we would surpass the moment with Biggie and Pac and the lives lost behind that. And we have shot past that mark tenfold, it feels like, and just sort of what's happening as far as what is considered okay in hip hop. I think that, as much as we love Pac, as much as we love Biggie, we would have rather them been here than to be caught up in some keeping it real stuff.
For sure.
So, I don't mind, and I always make the example of Cardi B because, people give her a hard time, and we know she doesn't write everything. I'm not going to get into how much she does or doesn't write. We know that her pen is not fully fledged, but she delivers it like it is, and it's entertaining, and I like it.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, because trust me, when I first heard, I was like, man, Cardi must have had hella help. But why do we come to that conclusion though? You know what I'm saying?
I think we come to that conclusion because if you look, I read album credits. I think some people do, and if there's a lot of writers on a track, there's a lot of writers on the track. And I'm not just talking about the ones that are added in and get paid for samples and interlopes. We know that breakdown is because monetarily people felt like, oh, you are taking this song and we should get our just due. So people are trying to be fair with all of that. But if there are 5 to 7 writers on a song, then I'm going to have to think that 5 to 7 writers all contributed in some capacity. Like maybe Cardi came up with the premise or the idea, or maybe she had a first verse and needed help with the bridge and the hook or something like that. I'm not going to ding her for it, but I just know more likely than not. And I feel like she's even alluded to something about that. She's addressed but not addressed. Like, you know, I can't remember exactly what the statement is. I'm going to have to go back and look it up. But I feel like she gave a Puffy-esque response to something at one point. You know, maybe not in the same way.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But, you know, because Puff was like, don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks. And I thought that was one of the illest lines I had ever heard, because
100%.
there is so much truth in that.
Absolutely.
And no matter what you think about his pen game or his bars, Puffy got hits.
Absolutely.
And Puffy is still around 30 years later.
Yep.
And we'll save the how we got there or what some people think. I'm just gonna say hard work, blood, sweat, and tears.
But you didn't go through Cardi B's credits though, did you?
Like extensively?
Yeah, you didn't open up the booklet. And...
I looked at a couple of songs I wanted to see, but like not every single one. But no. There's a couple of. Have you?
No.
No.
And that's why I came to the conclusion. I was like, Cardi has some help.
That's what I'm saying. I've looked at a couple of them, and there were, you know, I think that if there are like 5 writers on a track, there are 5 writers on a track, right? And that doesn't take away from whether it is entertaining, whether we are enjoying the music. It just means that there was help. It's not a one-person process.
I think it's more acceptable with R&B.
Absolutely.
As opposed to hip hop, you know, considering the whole authenticity
thing. But why
is
that? Why don't we expect, and again, I get the authenticity, but why don't we expect these R&B stars, or why didn't we, you know, to be these great lovers or to be these great romance men? And I think to a degree people do, and they look for that, but they don't. They know, one, that they're not necessarily writing all their music, and they don't hold them accountable in the same way. Or they allow them the room to say they're growing into that in whatever capacity as far as their artistic, you know, stretch.
Because I think the focus is more so on the vocal ability as opposed to the artistry. I think the artistry kind of comes second. I think people want to know that you can sing. Can you sing? If you can sing about whatever. And, you know, people are going to gravitate towards you.
But you think about rap, they're like, nope, this needs to be your story.
Absolutely.
I don't want to hear you talk about anything that's not your story. Exactly.
I don't necessarily know where that comes from, but that's what it is.
Well, we'll see. When we come forward, we will, again, break down this Rick Ross story. I'm also going to give you some what to watch tips because, you know, it's Thursday, but it's my Friday, so I have to let you know what you need to check out this weekend. We'll get into the comments about Eva Marcelle's appearance on Instagram, and we have a little discussion that kind of started last night that I want to dip off into. All that and more, you're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked in with Jill Munroe here on RSVP, here on KBLA Talk 1580. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe. Happy Thursday night. So we talked the other day about Arizona State offering a course on Taylor Swift, and it was for a psychology major. And this is another college course, but this time it's offered on the business life of Rick Ross. And I thought that this was so cool and such a great way to get students involved for their future. So the Georgia State College of Law will offer this fall Legal Life of. And basically what it is their courses where students get a chance to experience the area of entertainment law and learn some practice ideas and concepts by studying the career, contracts, and legal transactions of an artist. So this fall, they will be focusing on Rick Ross. Prior to him, they had installments that went into the lives of Ludacris, Candy Burris, because we know Candy keep a bag, that's a businesswoman and a Taurus, and Steve Harvey, and we know Steve Harvey keeps a check. We know Steve keeps a job. He's always working. So the course was the brainchild of Morema Ivory. He is a professor and the director of the Entertainment, Sports, and Media Law Initiative at GSU College. And so he's a lover of rap music, naturally, and hip-hop culture. So he thought that it's not a better time in history to study the type of business ventures that rappers and hip-hop artists are entering in for aspiring law students that want to step into that area. And we have more access to that type of information than we've ever had. You know, back in the day, could you get the details of a brand deal? Not necessarily. You probably had to do a bit of work. You had to know someone. Now, you know, there's so many outlets that put out those numbers. Even if some of them might be a little fudge, you still have an idea. You get an idea on sort of how deals are structured. We learn a lot more about the investments of celebrities and how much they're putting in, what their returns are. Like, I think and I'm sure somebody has somewhere, but Nas is someone I think is really important or interesting would be to follow his career and his business moves. As we know, Nas got really big into the venture capital game and made a lot of money on things like Ring and I can't remember what else. I'm blanking out on that right now. But he has made a lot of money getting in on IPOs with companies. And then when they sell later and go public, making millions and millions of dollars. Nas is not only artistic, he's paid. Right? Anyway, so more on this Rick Ross course. So the legal life of Rick Ross is going to focus on his turn from rapper to real estate investor and, of course, franchise owner. He owns over a dozen Wingstops. He also owns Checker Foods. And his response to hearing that this is happening is, I've always been a student of the game, and I look forward to being able to teach the next generation how to keep hustling. So, he also has Bel Air Champagne in his portfolio. He's tried to collaborate previously with Georgia State College of Law. In 2017, he had a misdemeanor kidnapping charge and assault charges, which allegedly stemmed from holding a groundskeeper at his place, which is 235 acres, 109 bedrooms, etc. The incident occurred in 2015, and so he wanted to talk to the students, the law students, and he said, maybe, you guys can help me out. I can bring you onto my case. And they would have gotten real world experience. Let me slow down. It's getting a little late. It's the after hours. And so he said that he was going to bring them copies of his case to look over, but he ended up pleading no contest. He took a plea deal, and the charges were reduced, and he was sentenced to 5 years of probation. So kudos to that course. I'm curious to see kind of what they find, how that rolls out. I wonder, does Rick Ross still have that? Whose house was that? Was it Evander Holyfield's house that he bought? I think 50 bought Mike Tyson's old place in Connecticut, and I believe Rick Ross bought Evander's old spot in Georgia. So huge. I mean, I know that well, no, that was 50. Never mind. I was going to talk about building a studio out, but 50's doing that in Houston, allegedly, where he lives now. So I wonder if Ross has any. We know he grows cattle on it and he sells his beef and things of that nature, but I wonder if ultimately he has some type of plans to turn it into, like, how Elvis has Graceland and Dolly Parton has Dollywood. I wonder if he plans on doing something like that with his property out there.
Well, didn't he not utilize, but didn't he basically gave his house open for Coming to America, right?
He did, yeah. I think they shot some of the footage excuse me, there. He excuse me, he also recently had a car show, because when he and Envy were kind of beefing, he had a car show on his property and things like that. So he's definitely utilizing it and making it stretch. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that, as far as Rick Ross's portfolio and where he's at in the next 5 to 10 years. All right, speaking of money matters. Now, last night there was a lot of chatter in YouTube when we were discussing Halle Berry and her divorce settlement. She has to pay, I think it's $8,000 to $10,000 a month in child support, all of the educational fees, medical expenses, and she has to pay 4.3% of any earnings that she earns over $2 million in a year to her ex. Well, today comes the news that Britney Spears is paying $10,000 a month for her soon-to-be ex-husband's new luxury apartment. He is said to be living in an a luxury apartment complex that's like 40 stories high, that borders on Beverly Hills and Century City, really popular building, and the rent in there goes anywhere from $10,000 to $65,000 a month. There's like 283 units, right? And so he has come out and denied the rumors that he was contesting the prenup and that he was threatening to release information on Britney. He said that, he will always basically love her, and that 6 years of love and commitment, it just, things are growing in different directions, but he has no plans on being nasty or trying to fight this. I bet if she wasn't paying his rent, he might consider it. So I don't know. We won't know if that's for sure. But as we are seeing more and more men demand to be provided for, we of course saw Kendu with Mary and their divorce and all of that money put out. Sherry Shepherd and her divorce, more women. And we talked about this last night briefly about high value men and what's happening. Is it worth it for famous women to get married to men that are not in the same financial stratosphere as they are? because they're taking the hits. I know we talk a lot about men and what happens with them, but if men are supposed to lead in these type of things and they say it's not beneficial for them, is it still beneficial for famous women to take that leap of faith in love? Because it seems like they always end out payout. And, it's a little different circumstances. They kind of weren't really working when they stepped into the situation when it comes to most of these women. I mean, granted, Britney's dude is on the Paramount Plus series Special Lion Ops, but, I don't know. I think women have to start reconsidering their options too if they want to protect their investments, just like men. If we're trying to say that they're all equal, they got to get a prenup too. But I think women naturally want to make their men feel like they're in the position of a leader. So it's a harder conversation when you're going that way. And I also think that it can at times make the women feel like they are emasculating their mate when they, try and penny pinch or put the purse strings on. I think it can be a complicated thing when we're looking at traditional gender roles. Andy, you are holding your head. I feel like you have something hot and spicy to say.
I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place. All I could say, I can only speak for myself. I would have no problem with my partner making the bread. At the same time, yeah, I would like for her to allow me to be the man. But see, I'm also man enough to be like, babe, I ain't got no bread. Can you hold it down for me? You know what I'm saying?
Can you get me for for right now? We'll work this balance out.
I will throw away the trash. I'll wash the dishes. You know what I'm saying? Until I get back up on my feet, and then you know what I'm saying. If you got bread, I'll pay for the meal.
Let me ask you, Andy, do you believe in traditional gender roles and things like that? Is that like all things considered, if you could pick and set it up, would you want it to be, I make more than my mate, they can work and take care of some things, but from the head down, and it starts with me?
I'm not going to diss traditional roles. I see it as we both should be able to do everything. So the man should be able to cook and clean.
Absolutely.
The lady should be able to bring the bacon home, right?
I mean, I think so, because here's the reality. Who wants to send their male child out into the world and they don't know how to whip up dinner? You know what I mean? They don't know how to clean their bathroom properly.
Absolutely.
That's why you see these stories on social media. These women talk about they go over and the little guy's house and some of the things that they encounter in their bathrooms. I'm like, what is really happening?
Absolutely.
Did they miss those educational lessons at home?
Learn to do your laundry too. I mean, it's not
Absolutely.
hard.
Do you want somebody else touching your drawers just randomly? Probably not. When we come forward, we'll have more trending topics and headlines. We'll get into what is going on with Eva Marcelle and the commentary about that, and how there seems to be, once again, more attacks on women and their looks in the media. Is it fair? Do we need to remember Chadwick Boseman? We'll get into that and more. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm the biggest boss that you've seen thus far.
Cause it's just another day in the life of the goddamn boss.
T-Pain.
The boss. Boss, 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 the boss. The boss.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Former President Trump was arrested in Georgia for his alleged efforts to overturn the state's 2020 election. Fulton County Police said he went through a fingerprinting and mugshot process, a first for Trump. He was released on a $200,000 bond. He was charged last week along with 18 other co-defendants for breaking state election laws in an effort to remain in power. The charges center around actions that include allegedly making false claims of ballot fraud and pressuring local officials to find him more votes to overturn the election. This was the fourth criminal case brought against the ex-president this year. Black Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis on Thursday asked for the Trump racketeering trial to start on October 23rd. His arraignment could come soon next month. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Looking for a late night spot to get the crew together? 3 words, Buffalo Wild Wings. They've got drinks and apps starting at $4 from 10 p.m. till close. B-Dubs, where late night food and drinks start at $4. Cheers to that. Limited time at participating locations. Offers, days, and times may vary. Drink responsibly. Void or prohibited. Tax and fees extra.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
To my hometown, my community. Some of you have known me my whole life. Do you notice anything different about the kids in the neighborhood? Ever paid attention? You might start with gifts, money, attention. These are signs. Child trafficking is happening right here in this town. So don't just watch through the window. Pay attention. Because the more we know, the more we'll all know to say no. Learn the signs to look for and how to help at no-to-say-no.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the Dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you looking to steer your career in a new direction? Driving for the Culver City Bus can be your ticket to a long-lasting career with excellent benefits and paid training. Culver City Bus is looking for customer service and safety-minded bus operators to join the growing team. Culver City Bus offers on-the-job paid training, uniform allowance, and health benefits. Culver City Bus are now even putting their money in your pocket with the one-time $2,500 sign-on bonus. Let us connect you with an essential service job. If you enjoy driving, seek real opportunities for career advancement, and passionate about making a difference in your community, then we invite you to join the team. Start your journey by submitting an application at culvercity.org/job. For more information, visit culvercitybus.com or call the live customer service operator at 310-253-6500. Again, 350-253-6500.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars, working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage, career-track jobs. The Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing around anti-discrimination, learn about union apprenticeship programs, or sign on to a trade registry, please visit www.lablackworkerscenter.org. That's lablackworkerscenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
But you don't hear me though. Look who's hanging out with the Falcons. Just because you're on top of a mountain. But what goes up must come down, bro. They didn't care about you 4 years ago. So what you gonna do when you start sinking? Get engaged to the pipe and start drinking. I don't know, but I'll never be someone's friend. Just because a fool's making dead presidents.
Listen, what I will tell you about Rodney Ojo and Joe Cooley and about late 80s West Coast rap in general, early 90s too probably, there are a lot of references to crack pipes in the music and about people hitting the rock and strawberries. I know it was the time. I know we were giving reality rap at that time. We were rapping about what we saw in our neighborhoods and real things that were happening. It's just so crazy to see how we've evolved over time. You know, back then, most of the rappers were the dealers. They weren't using the stuff, and they were advocating for people not to get involved in it. You know, don't get high off your own supply and so forth. Now, you know, we got syrup anthems and what have you. You know, it's a different approach. It's a different mindset. I'm just saying, it's just something that randomly sticks out to me. Like, you know, went from the dealer to the user, but it's neither here nor there. Shout out to that West Coast old school reference. Now, before we get into what's going on with Eva Marcelle, because we're so close to the weekend, you know, on Thursdays, I have to let you know what to watch, what to check out this weekend in case you're at home and you don't have anything to do or you feel like you want to get into some new programming. I am here to help you and make sure that you know what's out there for you so that you can touch on the different aspects of things without having to look too far. So first up on Hulu, there is Vacation Friends 2. Now, the original one, it stars Little Rel Howery, Yvonne Orji, John Cena, and Meredith Hanger. And what it was Lil Rel and Yvonne were engaged. They met this couple while they were on vacation, and they get into all types of hijinks. And, you know, it was really funny. And they ended up becoming best friends. Well, the sequel takes place a couple of months later, and they're again taking another trip. This time, Marcus, that's Lil Rel's character, and Emily, that's Yvonne's character, are married, and they're inviting their besties on this trip to the Caribbean, but it's really a business trip for Marcus. And of course, when you have friends that are a little bit left of center, wild, crazy things can happen. So if you saw the first one and you laughed, you definitely should check out the second part 2. It's more laughs coming in for you. The sequel also features Steve Buscemi. Am I saying that right? He's the guy that was on Boardwalk Empire. I can't remember who else. But anyway, he's funny in this. And Jamie Hector, you know, we know him from The Wire. Jaime. I don't know why I said Jamie. Reading too fast. Anyway, it's on Hulu. Check it out. Get locked in. It's pretty entertaining. On BET Plus, we have the return of Zatima. I know you guys are locked in with the Sisters cast and so forth. So this is an offshoot of that. You know, you can check out all of the ins and outs of that relationship. It's Zach, who is played by Duvall Ellis, and Fatima, who's Crystal Renee Haslett's character. They navigate the ups and downs of their relationship. So a new season is launching on BET Plus tomorrow. And, you know, in this season, the pair confront their personal shortcomings. Prepare to be left on the edge of your seats waiting for all the outcomes of everything that's going on. There's also a new series that's about to hit BET Plus, and it stars Jasmine Brown. She's a comedian. Watch Jazzy. You've probably seen some of her stuff across Instagram. She's dating former NFL quarterback Cam Newton. She has an alter ego that she calls Turned Up Tanya, I think it was. Jazzy used to be a bottle girl in Florida, and she stepped into the comedy realm, and now she has her first series, and it is created from Tyler Perry Studios. It's a dramedy, and it basically follows Jazzy. That's her character's name as well. A young Caribbean woman who's still living at home with her parents, who refuses to settle as she stacks her money and builds her own life. She meets a man named Wayne, and he seems to check all the boxes and is everything that Jazzy's parents warned her against. So after Jazzy learns that Wayne is engaged to another woman, she now has to decide what she's going to do. Is sharing a man settling if you found the love of your life? Sort of interesting, some of the topics and themes that are being raised in this series. I wonder what it's based off of, because some of it sounds related to some of the rumors, again, rumors being the key word here, about some things that kind of went on with Cam Newton when he and Jazzy initially got together. We don't know if it's true or not. I'm just saying it sounds similar to such, but check that out. It launches tomorrow. Jazzy's really funny and talented, so make sure you lock into that if you have BET Plus. On the OWN network, that's Oprah Winfrey's network, there is a new docuseries, a 5-part docuseries. It started last Friday, August 18th. Episode 2 is tomorrow on Essence Magazine. It's a celebration of the trailblazing magazine, which recently turned 50. A lot of things turned 50. A lot was popping back in 72, 73. What was that? Yeah, 72, 73 hip-hop Essence. Soul Train moved to LA, Motown too. So these last 50 years have been a lot for the culture, we love to see it. So it is, the name of the series is Time of Essence, right? It's 9 p.m. on Fridays on Essence, as I said. Episode 2 airs tomorrow night. It's the trailblazing magazine that has reached a global community of over 20 million. Of course, Essence was the style guide, the society pages for a lot of young Black women over the years. So Oprah joins a group of thought leaders, celebrity influencers, etc., to discuss the groundbreaking magazine, to discuss some of the behind the scenes things that you didn't know happened, meet some of the people that put it together. They also discussed the transition when the magazine went from Black-owned to corporate-owned and now back into Black-owned, and the type of strains that caused on the business. It's really interesting stories to connect with. It features commentary not only from Oprah, but also Halle Berry, Whoopi Goldberg, Sheryl Lee Ralph, Regina Hall, Taye Diggs, excuse me, Taraji, Gabrielle Union Wade, Beverly Johnson, Ananza Sims, who's Beverly's daughter, Vanessa Williams. As you can see, the list just goes on and on and on and on. So really great series to check out. Lots of informative information and just celebrating us. And if you've ever wanted to, be featured on your own cover of Essence, go to own.tv/Essence cover, and you can put yourself on your own little Essence cover and add that to your social media thing. So make sure you check that out. There is also Unfinished Business. It is from Sierra and Russell Wilson. It's the rise of the WNBA. That's available on Netflix. Of course, episode 4 of Winning Time is coming up on HBO this weekend. I'm always going to talk about that. And we have some special guests coming next week that are on the creative side of that show. So that's exciting for me. And let's see what else. I feel like I'm missing something else, but that's a good list right there. That'll get you started, get you ready to go for the weekend, and check out all of these new things. When we come forward, we will talk about Eva Marcelle and what she did to combat negativity in her Instagram comments. We'll get into, talking about celebrities' physical appearance. Is that the way to go in 2023? We'll get into all of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, I'm Jay Winnick, On 9/11, I lost my brave brother Glenn in the collapse of the World Trade Center. Glenn was a volunteer firefighter who died in the line of duty. Glenn's bravery inspired me to help start the nonprofit that's turned September 11th into a national day of service. For 9/11 this year, please join me by doing what Glenn would have done, taking time to help others. Please visit 911day.org to learn more.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, in downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked in with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. We are down to the final few minutes of RSVP with Jill Munroe VIPs, and I gotta go rapid fire on a couple of topics because there are a couple of stories we just didn't get to either tonight or this week, but I wanted to make you aware of them, and maybe we'll have time to get more in the weeds on them next week, but I at least want to keep you updated. Now, I mentioned earlier that Jamie Foxx is going to be playing God. And I don't mean playing God in the sense of, exhibiting his heavenly will over different situations and so forth. I mean, he's literally going to be playing God in a comedy called Not Another Church Movie. And he'll be playing opposite Mickey Rourke, who is an actor who's been around for forever. My favorite Mickey Rourke role is this film called 9.5 Weeks that came out in the late 80s with Kim Basinger. It's like a sexy thriller. But anyway, he was really attractive to a lot of women back in the day, but then he got bad plastic surgery, and now he looks interesting. Well, he'll be playing the devil. So he and Jamie will be playing opposite each other in this. The film also stars Vivica A. Fox, Tisha Campbell, Jasmine Guy, Kyla Pratt, and Lamore Morris. It'll be out sometime in fourth quarter. It was shot before the SAG-AFTRA strike, so look out for that. I mean, Jamie's busy. His medical situation didn't stop anything. Maybe that's why he had to slow down. Also, Nicki Minaj, she has been the victim of swatting over the past few months. The individual responsible, she caught up with them, and she is taking legal action against them. she revealed that on her Instagram, also revealed the woman's name, which we won't do, but you could go to her social media if you want to check it out. And she said, "To God be the glory." She is, you know, making sure that this person is punished, because swatting is dangerous, especially if you think about, as a black family, having police come thinking that it is a life or death situation, ready to draw the guns. You never know what can happen in that circumstance. And so we are thankful that everything was okay with that, and that the person, might be facing justice for what they did. We're going to get into this story next week, but I just wanted to mention, do you remember pink sauce? It was a sauce that a young woman was advertising on TikTok. She went viral. Her name was Veronica Shaw, aka Chef Pie. Well, seems like now she is claiming that even though her sauce took off and ended up in Walmart and several other places, she says she's never received any royalties from that. And now she is broke, like unable to provide for herself and her children. She has a GoFundMe that she started to try and get back on her feet and get things together. We'll get more into what she says happened next week, so make sure you're locked in for that. But something happened and she's not getting her proceeds. We have to find a way as people, when we are, innovating and trying to put ourselves on the path for business, to make sure that we have outlets to tap into, to understand the contracts we're signing, the deals that we get into that don't cost us a lot of money and don't necessarily require us to have all of the knowledge when we're just entering into a business and entrepreneurial space. So good luck to her with that. Also wanted to let you know that R. Kelly's music royalties from UMG are now being garnished. He had over $500,000 in royalties that were being held by UMG, and a judge has ruled that the royalties must be released to his victims in order to pay restitution and criminal fees. UMG isn't the only company that has royalty money tied up regarding he and his music. There is also allegedly another, I think, 1.5 million out there in royalties that they are looking to get allocated to victims and for restitution. We'll see if that happens. Now, I mentioned that Eva Marcelle is going through some comments on social media. She posted some pictures recently and it looks as if she may have lost some weight, and people were commenting, telling her to eat a burger and all of these type of things. And it's really kind of crazy when we think about what happened with Chadwick Boseman a couple of years ago and, some of the other stories that we've gone through. Eva ended up turning off her comments, and she liked a comment left by someone that said the exact same thing. Have we learned nothing from Chadwick? But Eva's also a model, so her visual imagery is something that people were attracted to her for. Of course, she came to prominence in 2004 on America's Next Top Model. We know that she was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta for quite some time, and currently she is going through a divorce situation, so we hope everything is okay with her. But when you are involved in a superficial career, is it not fair, because you're human and you should be treated as such, but is it rational or reasonable to think that your physical appearance isn't going to be the first thing that people comment on when that is the reason why they are acquainted with you to begin with? It's an interesting question. There's been a lot of commentary about looks this week. Really quickly, Funky Dynema, he is on the TGIF show on Fox Soul. He had a lot to say about Chloe Bailey and Halle Berry today. Not Halle Berry, Halle Bailey. As far as, Chloe defending her sister, there are some rumors about her current medical condition right now. Again, a lot of speculation, not really fair, no proof to it, but people are, making photo identification. We've talked about those Twitter and internet detectives. They go in. But for whatever reason, Chloe seems to disturb Funky's spirit. And he really went in on her. And I just wonder sometimes, he's an older man, I believe. I think he's 40. Halle and Chloe are in their young 20s. And obviously his job is to comment. And so I cannot tell someone else how to put together their show, what to comment on, and so forth. But do you think sometimes we need to give each other a break? You know, like even if you are unhappy with how she is handling situations or how she's defending her sister or the music she puts out or how she's presenting herself, do we have to hit below the belt? Do we have to call names? Like, do we have to do all of that? Is it necessary? She's not your relative. Is it going to hit harder? I don't know. I just think that it is an interesting turn that we are seeing as far as that is happening. The chat still bubbling. Urban Spinster mentioned that Tracy Morgan has a new special on Max hitting this weekend. She also mentioned that in the Time of Essence special that is on OWN about Essence magazine, it was revealed that Essence, the original concept, was the brainchild of all men. So, check out that special because there's a lot of little tidbits and behind the scenes information that you get there that might change your opinion and perspective on, what you think Essence is about and how you think that it came to be and what was going on behind the scenes. So, again, our job is to comment and to, relay information and to give an opinion. But I think that especially now when social media, and we've talked a lot about social media, but social media is literally shaping everything. Think about 10 to 12 years ago. You didn't see someone's Twitter handle or their MySpace page in the credits when their name was, but now that's everywhere. It is an active selling point as to how you market yourself, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you do. How many real estate agents do you see with social media pages? How many hairstylists do you see? So, it's an important tool, but it also, as we've discussed, allows everyone to feel as though their voice maybe at times is more important than it really is, or that their commentary is more necessary than it should be. So what I would ask to do for the weekend is maybe, be a little bit kinder. Everybody has their comments. Everybody has an opinion, but is it necessary? Do we need to know that? I don't know. But listen, thanks for being locked in for RSVP with Jill Munroe. We are having so much fun bringing you this show every week. It's been 2 months. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying your feedback. I see the community growing, and I just want to let you know that I appreciate it so very much. Remember, Thursday is my Friday, so tomorrow you will be checking out the best of RSVP with Jill Munroe. And when we come forward tonight, you will be checking out the very best of KBLA Talk 1580. So, as always, thank you for rocking with us. I hope you have an amazing weekend, an amazing night. Take care of your people. I'll see you next week.
With that R&B, it makes me sick. Singing and crying, trying to add a rap on every bit. You know what I'm talking about? That stuff's not real rap. They try to add a hip-hop flavor and it's still whack. Rodney, yo, Joe, Cooley got the gangster track. Coming on strong, we're not giving no slack. Kicking street lyrics, cause I know it would stick. I got the hoochie mamas, yeah, they jumping on it. Sit back.